Now we're going to start with Manchester United and whether Ruben Amorim should ditch his 3-4-3 system. They lost 3-0 in the Manchester derby on Super Sunday and have made the worst start to a Premier League season for 33 years.
Not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man. So, and we will talk about that every game that we lose. I don't believe in that in the system or whatever. I play my way, and I'm going to play my will until I want to change.
More on about the supporters and the media losing kind of belief in this management. My worry is if the players aren't truly behind them in terms of the way they're playing in the system, because the results just haven't been good enough.
They're 14th in the league. It's only 4 games in. And we all said at the end of last season we can't be getting into October where Manchester United are 14th, 15th in the league, or else the manager will be in trouble. Now, there's a few games to go before that, but they have to start winning quickly.
Right, so good morning to Charlie Austin. Charlie, Amorim says he won't be changing his approach, but should he?
First and foremost, I think that shows his stubbornness, his arrogance about trusting what he wants to do in his own mind, but ultimately the results are not showing that. He's seeing something in training, 3-4-3's working, but it certainly ain't on match days because they're not getting the results. So he can go on about, if I'm not going to change my system, change the man. I think ultimately he's being so stubborn that it's actually affecting Manchester United now.
Well, let's get a fan's perspective now, and Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where fans share their opinions on their clubs. If you want to represent your club, you can. Scan that QR code or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We can speak to Manchester United fan now, Flex. Flex, always great to see you. Good morning. I know it's probably not too much of a good morning for you, but we're asking about this format. Yeah, I can tell by your shaking head. Classic shirt, though. I like that.
Yeah, just got to remind myself of the good old days sometimes, you know.
Well, this 3-4-3 formation, is that the main problem right now?
It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest because we clearly don't have the players to play this formation. There's been no improvement within this formation. I think what people are misunderstanding of who want to keep going in this direction is that this is a really big sample size now. This isn't 1 or 2 games, or we're not seeing anomalies of performances. How I saw us perform against Grimsby Town in this same system was the same way we got dismantled against Manchester City. So that means that this system is fundamentally flawed. When you're playing against players and you're losing games and you've got people coming out after the games, whether it be coaches or your opposition players saying, well, we exploited this because we knew they had 2 in there. And, you know, you've got Pep Guardiola putting 4 central midfielders in there against 2 to outnumber us. You've got the manager saying, I'm going to stick to this. You're basically, it's like turning up to a poker game and showing everybody your hand and telling everybody, this is what I've got, this is what I'm going to have, I won't deviate from this. How do you expect to win card games, or in this case, games of football? So it's a huge problem. I don't think it's reactionary. Again, I think there's this thing from some Man United fans that are suggesting that this is reactionary. I'm going to remind you guys of some stuff here now. We've played nearly 50 games in all competitions with Ruben Amorim. 31 of those come in the Premier League. In the Premier League alone, we've only won 8 games. We have not won more than 1 game in a month since January. Since January, Manchester, forget back-to-back wins, Man United have not even won 2 games in a month since January. So if that doesn't tell you the system's an issue, I don't know what will.
I know it's a big talking point, right, about the system. It really is. And like you say, the way they played yesterday, you're trying to compare the performance to Grimsby, right? But let's just look at the goals. The goals is nothing to do about formation, right? So I've been a big advocate to say about the formation, but yesterday skips through. Doku skips through. Bruno Fernandes doesn't check his shoulder once. He comes out and says, I thought Lenny Yoro's going to go in there into the space. Well, you didn't check your shoulder. You ball watched the whole time, and the only time you turned around was when the ball come off Phil Foden's head. The ball's in the back of the net. Second goal, for me, Luke Shaw has got to anticipate where the danger is. Where's the danger? He's covering De Ligt. He allows Haaland to get into that space. Curtains, 1-on-1 with the goalie, over. And then for the third goal, terrible pass into Harry Maguire, that Manchester United leave Haaland basically 1-on-1 with the goalie. We go in this situation, that's nothing on formations. For me, yesterday, Luke Shaw was a number of bad performers for Man United yesterday.
Agreed. And this is why when Tom said, is this the biggest problem? I said it's one of the biggest problems, because then you've got to talk about of course, the individuals not being up to par, which is a separate situation. But also, you have to look at, when you look at Bruno Fernandes there. Where does that decision derive from, Charlie? Let's talk about this. Bruno Fernandes is Manchester United. Everybody knows it. Is Manchester United's most efficient attacker. He will get you goals. He will get you assists. What our manager has decided to do this season, it's his decision, nobody else's, is to replace him with 2 other 10s, in Cunha and Bruno, and play him in central midfield.
But Cunha didn't play yesterday, Flex.
No, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. No, he didn't. But hear me out on this. If you put Bruno Fernandes into central midfield as an 8 or a 6 in a 2-man midfield, we all know that what you're now doing is minimising his biggest strengths on the pitch and exposing his biggest weaknesses. I can replay you that same goal at Fulham, Charlie. I saw Emil Smith-Rowe run straight in behind Bruno Fernandes and get a tap in.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? Because I'm not just defending Bruno because he's an experienced player and should know better. But at the same time, the manager is playing him now in a position that is so key on this pitch. Bruno doesn't have the natural instinct to go and put out fires before they begin. Bruno doesn't have the natural instinct to sniff out danger or to be tracking runners in a deeper position. That's not his game. And the manager's decided to do this. And it's not working.
Who should the 2 in midfield be then? I know that you think Fernandes should play further forward, and most Manchester United fans we speak, in fact, all of them, say the same thing. But who should be the 2 in midfield?
Well, this is the problem we've got, Tom, because out of the partnerships that we have currently with the midfield setup, with how Ruben wants to play, none of them particularly complement each other very well. If I'm honest, I think Gary Neville touched on it yesterday in his comms, that actually, when you look at the pairing of Ugarte and, say, Mainu, or Mainu and Casemiro, or Casemiro and Bruno, like Gary touched on it, he said, you're looking for someone like a prime Kante alongside a Yaya Toure or so. It's not conducive to what we have. So until you get those tools, you have to play a certain way. You have to find a way, and Ruben's not doing that.
And when I was watching yesterday, Flex, for me, I was watching. Do you know what? I've talked about the price tag and 74 million Sesko. Manchester United don't even play for the centre forward. It's almost he's up there being hung out to dry for me looking at it. Like, we can all be here and say, oh, he doesn't do this. Manchester United don't play for a centre forward. It's just another in the Jenga pieces of problems. Like, where do all the goals come from? There's no number 9. Your most attacking player, your man who scores goals and makes chances is not high enough up the pitch.
Well, that's Diallo as well. Because Diallo's playing right wing back, so him and Fernandes aren't high enough up the pitch.
But he's not. But Diallo's not getting the ball off the back 4. He's not dropping in the middle and getting the ball like Fernandes. And for me, it's a wasted place for him to be out there. There's almost no need for him to be there. And all of a sudden now, because we're always talking about the 3-4-3, Manchester United almost like, well, we need to get Bruno in the team. And we spent the money on Cunha and we spent the money on Mbeumo, so he'll have to play an 8 or a 6. And that's Manchester United's football captain. That is the captain of Manchester United just being put out there.
The plan hasn't worked. If this was the succession plan for Bruno Fernandes in terms of this year, then when you look at what happened with Saudi, if you were going to use him in this way, i.e. taking him out of his strongest position, then you maybe should have moved on from Bruno Fernandes then and spent 100 million somewhere else. I love Bruno Fernandes and I stick up for him all the time because I think he gets it. I know he gets a rough time. There's times where he throws his arms up. There's times where he's poor like he was yesterday. But by and large, like I say, I don't forget what he does for this team when the team's active or even when the team's not doing very well. You can rely on him, right? But like I said, if this was where you were going to play him, it doesn't make any sense. And what's happening now is that, you know, Ahmad played in the left 10 yesterday and a mixture of the right 10. He didn't even play right wing back yesterday where he has been playing. And there's still no avail. Back to what you're saying about Benjamin Sesko, Charlie. It's 100% true, right? Because some people can look at, you're having a pop at him, this, that, and the other. No, let's just call it for what it is. Let's not bury our head in the sand or under a rock and think everybody's out to get Man United. These are real life stats that are in front of us that are laid out. This isn't just knee-jerk reaction. And if I'm Benjamin Sesko, I'm probably thinking of try and get out in January and get to Napoli with Rasmus Højlund. He scored straight away on his debut, you know, and it's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden now Benjamin Sesko's not a good player. All of a sudden now he's poor, and that just isn't right. It's like all of a sudden in Bruno is the same thing. He looks poor now. It's
and
the
at the moment with that, Flex, it just seems to be like when players come to Manchester United, that's the category they go into. he plays for Man United now, he's poor, he's not performing. You just got to call it for what it is. And how I see it is that Benjamin Sesko, Manchester United are not playing for the number 9.
Well, on the point of the midfield, Flex, if you listen to this, because we've got a voice note from another Manchester United fan who sent one in. I think his name's Jesse. Just hear what he says about it.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jesse from Freetown, Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm a Man United fan. I don't think we have problems with Ruben. I don't think it's the formation. I think it would have been a better season if United would have got us a new number 6 and a number 8 as well. And as well, United needed to strengthen in defense as well, because United are taking too many goals, which is one of the biggest problems we also suffered last season.
I get that, and I understand what he's saying, right? If you needed a number 6 or number 8 because Ruben Amorim is just going to stick to that formation, then cash in on Bruno Fernandes, take the 100 million. You have to park the fact he's your top goal scorer. He makes most chances in the Premier League, etc., etc. You have to go and sign it. And I think the biggest thing also on it is defensive areas. Manchester United are weak in them areas. So being a club that wants to be at the top end, that's not the players you needed, because always we're going back to Harry Maguire. Everything that goes wrong, right, get Harry Maguire in. So why doesn't he start in there? I'm not saying that's the person they should go to, but they're always the one that he looks to if something's going wrong up there, and defensively if something's going wrong, if they need a goal, we can put in Harry Maguire on.
Yeah, he always finds a way. Well, actually, the defenders always find their way on the pitch as well, Charlie, because Ruben Amorim has this thing of always changing the centre-backs during the game anyway, which I was under the impression of. We had a lot of games last year. There's a lot of load to carry. So I'm mixing it up a little bit. Now we've done our best to make sure we have even less games by going out the Carabao Cup before the big teams even got in it. So that's even less games. And we're still changing centre-backs. But I think the biggest problem that we have, I don't think it's at the back. I think it is at the top end of the pitch. I had no problems with us investing highly into that pitch, into that area of the pitch. Man United scored 44 Premier League goals last year. The only team to score less than that stayed up was Everton, apart from the relegated side. So that shows me that was our biggest problem. We conceded last year in line with some of the better teams in the league, 50-odd goals. It wasn't the worst. So I understand that heavy investment in that bit. But for me, the midfield has always been one of the biggest problems because we don't control games, Charlie. That's what's going on. Man United never have a foothold of the game where they can control the game through midfield, dictate the tempo, take the sting out of the game, increase the tempo. You know it, Charlie. Everything is won and lost in midfield, right? If you don't have that, you're toast. You're going to have a bit of individual brilliance here and there. We made hard work of it against Burnley. But at the same time, you're not going to get away with that against better opposition. And let's have it right. This is a Manchester City team under pressure, by the way. This is a Manchester City team where certain Man City fans, I spoke to them in the build-up to this game, sort of questioning what's going on. We're not scoring goals. Pep's making some odd decisions.
Yeah. We was having the conversation. Flex, we were having the conversation where we were saying who actually needs to win the game more.
And it seemed like it was Man City, the general consensus that it was Manchester City. But Flex, there's a message on the bottom of the screen there from Robbie, who sent in a WhatsApp saying Manchester United brought in the wrong players and got the wrong manager. OK, what do you think on the manager front?
I just think it's getting increasingly difficult to pinpoint where you see this clicking into gear. You talk about sliding doors moments. I'm looking at even when we win football matches and you don't get that sense of, I tell you what, it's a bit of relief here. Looks like we're onto something. You don't see it. And then when you just lay the stats out in front of you, I almost don't understand what we're actually having a conversation about. If I took you guys to Fort Park and I said, get on this ride, it's got a 25% chance of making it round safely. Are you going to get on it? You're not. You're going to go, it's a 25% chance of making it round. What do you mean? What's that about? You're going to get on it, mate.
And I get you now. I get you on that bit, Flex. I'm saying now, and a manager front, let's just say, fast forward 6 months, Manchester United make the change. What manager, up-and-coming manager, is going to want to take that job at Manchester United? And also, Manchester United need to go in that direction where they think, oh, we need to get the top managers, we need to get experienced, etc., etc. No, it's not an attractive job. No one's looking at it going, oh, I could change that around.
If you've got an ego, it is, though. If you've got an ego, imagine being the manager that turns Manchester United around. If you've got an ego, you back yourself.
That's not a quick fix, though, chaps. That's not a quick fix.
There is absolutely no quick fix to Man United, and I don't think any Man United fans that get accused of you ain't got the stomach for a rebuild and all of this nonsense I keep hearing. I don't think that's fair on those fans. I don't think it's fair to see a sample size this big and this bad, breaking all types of records with no improvement in the team, for fans to be concerned. And what seems to happen is there's this infighting amongst fans. You get it when you come on here, people sort of saying, oh, you're letting people, come at the club and you're better than it. Hang on a minute. Let's just look at what's happened. This is not me making this up. This is not Man United fans being reactionary. If anything, Man United fans get laughed at half the time for being way too patient. Thinking Ollie's going to turn it around. Finishing 8th with Eric Ten Hag. He's won an FA Cup. Oh, look at the deluded Man United fans who think, give him another chance. I was one of them saying, let's keep going. They've got this new guy, Ruben. Keep sticking with it. I tell you what, he's finished 15th, but let him get his players. Get to the summer. He needs 1 game a week, he's told us. The better days are coming. Look at the United fans lapping it up. So I think this narrative that Man United fans are being knee-jerk or scattergun or going too quickly, I think that needs to stop, because you can see what's happening here. In terms of the other side of it, Charlie, you're right. It isn't a quick fix, but I think what's actually scaring a lot of Man United fans into thinking that this is actually working is that fact. Who do you get? What you're going to do?
Well,
and sometimes
have you got someone in mind? Have you got someone in mind? By the way, this is if Amorim goes. But if he goes, have you got someone that you actually want in that hot seat?
Tom, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, mate. I ain't got a clue anymore. I don't. Whether that's go and get Conte, he knows what a big club is. I tell you what, get someone in, he knows the Premier League. Whether that, I tell you what, go and get Unai Emery, go and get Glasner, go and get Iriola. He's the top. Tell you what, Nuno's free. Go and get him. I don't know, but what I do know is that it definitely feels like playing this way and continuing this way with this manager is just not. We can already see it's not sustainable, in my opinion, and I don't think that's a mad shout. I don't think that's something where you look at and go, deluded United, don't have the stomach. I hear it all the time. You're not a proper fan if you don't think this is all right. I think don't understand
on that bit as well, Flex, is that you're saying about a Manchester United fan and seeing it from that, but as a football fan watching, you can see the errors that are happening on the pitch, and then we hear about all the stuff that's going off it as well. So it's not just Manchester United fans also. I think it is football fans as well.
It's easy. Flex, great to speak to you today. Thank you.
Nice. So can you get me on when we have a win, please? Next time we have a win. I don't know when that is, but whenever we do, can you speak to me in more positive circumstances?
We'll get you in happier circumstances.